Hello, welcome. This is the reference photo that I will be sketching from today. I'm going to be using a dip pen with some black waterproof ink, and this is Noodler's ink. So I'm going to be sketching this on a 8 by 8, I believe, size of watercolor paper that I cut out from a larger square. And I put a few pencil marks down to give me a guideline for the outline of the building. And if you are sketching along with me, you can always pause this and you look at that reference photo I have there and put your marks down. And you do not have to use ink. You can practice with pencil and ink over it later. I left a little gap there in the rooftop for that Pepe's Cafe sign. So it's always good to look at your reference photos, or if you're sketching from real life, to see what's in front of what, and that way you can remember that and not put, because if I went straight across, I'd have that line right through that Pepe's Cafe sign. So sometimes you remember those things and sometimes you don't, and it's not a big deal. These are not supposed to be perfect sketches. They're fun, and some people actually like the look of that, and it's a little more abstract. So sometimes when I think about it, I can foresee it and make sure that I stop to get that sign in there first or after. And that structure that I'm doing right now, that's the sign that says, it's a larger Pepe Cafe sign that's facing outwards. As you're walking up the sidewalk, you would see that sign. But I really picked this reference photo because I liked the square, straightforward visual, because it's easier, I think, if you're just starting out and doing angles can be a little tricky. So the only angles really here is that awning with the shingles. So I picked this one because it's easy, and also I love the bicycle. And I don't, if you could see on that awning, there's little oyster shells hanging. I thought that was such a neat little focal point. And I think that's a nice little detail for something like this. When I look at photos to do, I'm always looking at what's appealing. The last one I did the black and white striped awning, which I thought was really cool. So I sped this up just a little bit, and I did this outside on my patio, and I had the ceiling fan blowing, or the ceiling fan going, and my hair is blowing in the wind, so I apologize for that. The last video, my hat got in the way, so it's always something. So as I'm looking at this now, I've realized a mistake that I've made. I made that awning way too narrow. I should have made it a lot longer, because you will see when I am putting in the lettering, I struggle a little bit to get all those letters in, because it says Pepe's Cafe, eldest eating house in the Florida Keys, 806 Caroline. And I really had a challenge getting all those letters in. And unfortunately, I have rheumatoid arthritis, so sometimes I struggle, and lettering is one of the things that I really have a hard time with. But Again, not supposed to be perfect, so it just turned out fine. But I want to give you a little bit of history really quick about Pepe, as we're sketching here about Pepe's Cafe. It was founded in 1909. It's the oldest restaurant and still operating in Key West today. What I found really fascinating when I was researching this is in 1909, Jose Pepe Pelez opened up his cafe on 202 Duval Street. So this is not the original one. And then Pepe remained at the Duval Street location during World War One, the Depression, and World War Two. In 1941, Pelez retired and sold the restaurant to Eduardo Garcia, whom the locals call Curry. So I thought that was really fascinating. So when they say it's the oldest, I guess it's the oldest by name, but this isn't the original location. So I don't know if this was built for it, but it'd be interesting to look that up. So I'm doing the wheel now of the bicycle, and I put just 4 dots down at the top, bottom, and sides just to give me a guideline. And this one I just winged it, which was, it's a little smaller, but bikes are challenging. I was trying to draw a golf cart the other day, and oh my gosh. And if it was straight on, it was fine, but it was on an angle. So I want to do that one for a video. So hopefully I can get that so you guys could see it. But it was a cute, it was called the Prickly Pear restaurant in Cedar Key, Florida. So once I get that golf cart, I'm going to practice, and then I'll have that one for you guys. So there's a little basket on there, on that bicycle. And I am speeding this up just a hair, because just one speed. I think you can, if you wanted to, you could slow it down and then just turn the volume down, because otherwise my voice will sound like Mickey Mouse going really fast, or Minnie Mouse. But I was sketching very slow, and if I sped it up like this, it's not too out of control. So a few little signs there, and then this is a little banister, a railing. So here we go. I'm really getting in there. Little shaky there. Just hoping I get it all in. Yeah. Boy, it would have been a lot easier if that was longer, but that's okay. That's the thing. If you take your time in the beginning and put those little pencil marks, I was measuring the top of the building with the bottom of the building, but I did not measure the sides, but it's fine. it all worked out. So I think there's some, I left the garbage can out. Didn't want to put a garbage can in there. So I think there's just some like wood stacked on the side, so I just kind of improvised and put that in. Do your squiggles for the trees. And then the wooden fence. I didn't do those big tree trunks, or branches, I just did the squiggles, the leaves. And here is the little oyster shells. All right, on to the watercolor. I'm going to wet that paper with just some water for the background foliage, and I'm mixing a little lime, like light green, like a sap green, and some yellow ochre, and then just dropping that in. A little gray for the shadowing. And that roof right there is in a lot of shadow. Mixing up that door, that brown. I just used a little bit of orange and some burnt sienna and a little bit of brown. And then I lift a little bit of that off. And just dry your brush and then, or clean your brush, dry it a little bit, and then you could lift paint off where you want to bring out some of the paper, and if it's too dark for you. Got that dark green border. Looking cute. So I'm not doing that window too dark. I'm just doing that gray again. And then just leaving some spots so it looks like there's some glare. And now I've got the Faber-Castell, checking this, make sure that's not wet. The Faber-Castell 0.1 pen to put in that lettering. And then that cafe is in red. So I'm going to take a very fine tip, very small watercolor brush with a little bit of red and do the cafe. I can't remember the last time I did cursive. But I love it. It turned out nice. I like that. So I'm going to grab the waterproof marker, and I didn't want to do really black wheels because I didn't want it to, it's kind of a softer looking painting, so I'm doing that in just a darker gray for the wheels. Because I think if I would have did it black, it just would have been like, woof. I think that looks good. So once the watercolor is dry, it's a good thing to just go in and do any little, I'm going to take that, because that's the finest tip that I have, so I'm putting a hint of lettering in a sign, and all I'm doing is just putting some dots down to give it a hint of letters. I'm thinking. What does it need? Oh, the wood. Put a little brownish there. Make those fence posts pop a little bit by putting a little dark between them. And I'm going to put a little, just a hint of some darker green to give it just a little bit of depth and shadow. Some little rings on the palm tree trunk. So I've decided to do a little acrylic paint, a little white acrylic paint, and drop that into those oyster shells. To make them kind of stand out because they were getting lost. And I do have a white pen, ballpoint pen, but it doesn't seem to really work. So I just grabbed the white acrylic paint and a very fine tip brush and just dotted those. And doing the lettering in that sign as well. Could have made that red sign a little bit darker, but again, we're keeping it soft. And some hint of lettering in that glass front door window. So this is that white ballpoint pen. I thought I'd do there's a circle around the Pepes, and I thought I would give that a try and see, but it just isn't working that great. So back to the acrylic. I didn't want to make that window too dark, so I just did a light gray marker in there so that white really isn't popping too much. Unfortunately. So I'll go over that with, I'm just going to go over that with a marker so you could see the Pepes in the window. Once that dries. And some little detail work just to make a few things stand out so everything isn't all one shade. I like to accent a few shingles. Just these little finishing touches really add some depth to it. All right. Here's the finished sketch. And as you can see, I used the Faber-Castell 0.1 marker. I redid some of the lettering in the doorway and the bottom of the door. I did that finishing detail around those two little wood details in the door. I put some rocks in front of the doorstep. There's just some gravel and a little darker marker across the bottom. So yeah, I think that's a wrap, and it turned out cute. I want to thank you so much for joining me. I hope you have a wonderful day, have a creative day, and bye for now.